Oh no, what happened?
Hey, guess who didn't click the go live button an hour ago and has just been literally talking to themselves?
In Twitch?
No, in the fucking YouTube thing. Yes, I've been online for an hour. Well, it's been very boring. All that you missed is I made this thing. That's fine. I will catch you up really fast. I cannot believe, because, like, I was sitting here and I was like, wow, I can't believe that, like, everyone's been so quiet this whole time in chat. Wow. And I was just like, well, it went out and no one's told me I'm not online, so it's probably fine. And, like, then I was like, well, maybe I should just go click the link to make sure that it works. And I clicked it, and all it said is, oh, waiting to go live. And it's just like, thanks you. This is why I don't stream on YouTube. Literally the only reason I'm on YouTube right now is because, like, you can't make things in Twitch private. No, it was supposed to be at 5, and it's 6 now, because I've been in here talking to myself, making a foam thing. Whatever, y'all didn't miss that much. Well, this is stupid. Jesus Christ. Stupid YouTube. YouTube is so dumb. Alright, well, what we've been doing is making a foam piece. Yeah, this was supposed to be the foam work one. But, yeah, so essentially what I've been doing during the hour where I've been talking to myself is we are making foam understructure things and then covering it in hair. So, like last time, most of the understructure shape was made out of teased and tangled hair. This time, it's something made out of knot hair. You can use pretty much anything. I usually prefer to use something sturdy. I don't use Ava foam because I find that it's too wiggly. If your thing's really big, maybe you could do that. But I like to use styrofoam a lot. I did a thing out of foam clay if it needs to be really complex. But in this case, I am doing out of styrofoam. I am making this guy's hair, which is really not suited for teasing. But it's really not suited for teasing because it's too thin, and I would worry that the very back piece would kind of fall down just because, you know, you could get it to stay up with glue, but, like, I think that's going to fall out over a couple hours. Would you do me a favor when you have a break? You don't have to be now, and put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. I am, like, so fucking infuriated that this has been recording for an hour and not broadcasting. I'm so mad. I'm so mad! I've, like, now screwed this up twice. I was so excited because I was like, oh, I'm on time. It's great. I'm on time, and it'll be great, and I'm all set up, and I have my cameras all set up, and it's going to be great. And this is stupid. I hate stupid YouTube. I don't know why you would have to, like, I click go live in my broadcaster, but then you have to click go live in a different place as well. It, like, doesn't freaking make sense at all. Whatever. Anyway, so for this guy's hair, this is like a perfect project for foam work because it's so long, it's skinny, it's really angular, it looks like a cartoon, and I think having it looking really slick is going to be nice. So usually when I get started, I like to try and make the shape first. Especially if it's really flat. If it's like a bouffant or like a bun, I don't do this. But thank you. But for something like this where I'm going to be really picky about like the angles and how it looks, I usually make it out of poster board first. And I kind of put it on my head, make sure that it looks good. And I don't just put it on my head like this, I put it on my head with a wig. Because right now, like if you were to look at this, it's like it's a little big, it's a little oversized for my head, in my opinion. But once you have the wig on, it starts to look more normal. So whenever you're testing out your shape, make sure that you always have the actual wig that you're going to wear as well, because it's going to really change the shape of your head. And honestly, when you wear the wig, everything else is going to look small in comparison. That's why I like wigs with cosplays anyway. But yeah, so we started with this, and then what you missed during the entire hour I was talking to myself and not streaming on live, I was making this, which is a styrofoam structure. You can see the foam a little bit on the inside, but this is a piece of styrofoam that I've carved out in the angle that I want, and I have covered it in fleece. Normally I cover it in felt, but there's no stores open and I don't have any black felt. So I had some fleece lying around. Can you just cover the hair on top of the styrofoam if you just paint it? Yeah, you totally can do that. However, I find that the hair is going to stick it better, and it's going to be a lot easier to cover the structure if the surface is absorbent. So like fleece and felt are very absorbent materials, and if you were to get a PVA or tacky glue on top of them, it's going to cling to it really, really well. And that's very convenient for rounded shapes, weird shapes, things that defy gravity. If it's something just flat like this, it doesn't matter that much because the hair is just going to sit on there. So I don't think you have to be as picky about what you're laying the hair on top of. But if you have the stuff, usually what I like to do is I'll make the shape out of whatever material I want, and then I will cover it in my more absorbent material. And I think it's just a lot easier, personally. I've had people tell me that if they use craft foam and they put the hair on, you can peel it away, which I think you need to make an effort to do, but like that's not the greatest thing in the world. When you put when you put tacky glue on top of this, you're gonna have to like make an effort to get the hair off of it because it's gonna want to stick. It's just kind of the way it is. So anyway, what I did is I took some felt or some fleece and essentially just wrapped it around this shape. And if you see, it's not perfect. There's some darts in here. I essentially just started cutting and just laying it over and cut away fabric where it was too much, darted it where it was too much. But what you want to end up with is something that's nice and smooth. This is a teeny bit bumpy, but it's fine. When the hair goes over it, it's going to smooth it out. If it was really, really bumpy, that would be a problem because then your hair is going to be bumpy. But essentially, you just want to totally cover this shape so it's nice and smooth, and then we can start laying our hair on top of it. And this is essentially what we're going to have. Another thing to bear in mind when you are cutting out your shape is this is not the end of where I want my hair to be. I actually want the hair to go to about here or so. And what's going to happen is I'm going to lay my hair, I'm going to leave it a little long, and then this last part is just going to be nice and tapered and small. And it'll just be hair. If I was to try and stop it here, it's really hard to get a really nice tapered shape if you're working with styrofoam or pink foam or bulky things like that. If you get it really small and tapered, it becomes really easy to break, so I get kind of paranoid. And instead, I'm just going to let the hair extend out, and then I can get my nice taper that way. All right. By the way, does anyone have any questions? Any projects they're working on? All right. So Art of Wigs is out of wefts. There are no black wefts at Art of Wigs. And so what I instead have, that I was in the middle of pulling apart when I realized that this thing was not in fact streaming, is a ponytail clip, which if you can't get the wefts in your color, if they're out, a ponytail clip is a really good substitute. I did not get a short one because I was concerned that it might be layered. They make a couple different sizes. The short ones are like about to here. Those are absolutely layered. That is probably not what you want. The medium ones I don't know about. I've never had a medium ponytail clip. I don't know how layered it was, and so I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm worried. And so I got the long one. Hi, Finny. Hi, Finny. Now the problem with the long one is that it's really long. I do not like working with wefts this long because what happens is they get tangled. And so what I've done with this one actually is I kind of laid it on here. Can I like make this taller? I want like more angle. There we go. I have my little guy here. And I just kind of eyeballed what way more than I needed was, and then I cut it. So now I have a much easier to work with thing that is not going to tangle as much. So the glue that I used to put the felt on the styrofoam, hot glue, it's just a lot faster. I don't think this would be nearly as easy or fast to work with. If you're working with really, really hot glue, I actually do not apply the hot glue directly to the styrofoam. I instead put it on the felt and then wrap it around, which makes it cool down a little more. And you're also not putting a big glob into one place, which could melt the styrofoam a little bit. But yeah, I like hot glue because it's fast. If you're wrapping it, it'll stay in that weird curve. It's hard to like wrap. If the shape is fighting you, it's a lot harder to use this because you have to hold it in place until it sets, which is like 4 hours, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I always just use hot glue. So what I am doing now is I am de-wefting. God, it's just black. It's just a big black blob. You can't even see what's happening. I am de-wefting this thing to try and get the wefts out of here. So I have done this one, pulled it off, and I have done this one, which are huge, thick wefts. And then your next step is really to comb it, because when you de-weft, and when you cut this ponytail thing apart, there's some strands of hair that are going to be disconnected from the wefting. So anything that's not attached to the line of stitching here, we don't want it. All this hair is coming off, and that's fine. I do not want that on my weft, because when it comes time to like tug a little bit on the hair and try and get to lay really cleanly on top of my structure, if something is not attached to the stitching, it's going to pull off, and it's going to be a flyaway, and it's going to pop up and go everywhere, and I don't even want to deal with it. So we want to kind of brush the hair through and make sure all of those little loose hairs are gone. Like, look at all this junk. Imagine that on your foam structure. We don't want that. Get out of here. Okay, what's next? How is this attached? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So, I wish this wasn't black. I feel like it's really difficult for you guys to see what's happening. So actually another thing I can do with this is I don't necessarily have to use the seam ripper. I'm going to try it one more time. Usually when you're de-wefting a wig, you want to get the seam ripper in because you want to keep the netting intact. In this case, I really don't care. I don't care about the netting of this thing. I just want the wefts out of here. So you guys see how... Oh my god, this camera's terrible. Here we go. So you see how there's a little bit, you can see the netting right between these two wefts. I could either seam rip it right out of here, or I could just cut it, and I'm just going to cut it, I think. I think that'll be faster. Ooh, although this one is actually on top of the other one, so I do have to seam rip it.
Bead with you.
Put her on the side. Put her like next to you.
Yummy.
God, these things are made really weird.
Why are you right here?
Oh, was it Hammy? I thought it was Vivi.
It was Vivi, but Hammy's like on this paper bag and it looks like Big Dumb.
Oh, there's two of them. Jesus. There's so many wefts on this thing. This is why I prefer wefts instead of harvesting wefts. You can do this off of a wig as well. It is infinitely easier to just buy the dang things. It's not worth your time. But if you are in a situation like me where you can't get wefts, harvesting is a good way, is a good alternative. Yeah, we're just getting all that loose hair out of here. De-harvesting is kind of a messy process. It's not my favorite. There's a lot of hair in this thing. I think there's like more than in a weft. Like, look at all of this. This is like half. Yeah, it feels like there's like double the hair in this than you get in a weft. So much dang hair. way, if you guys just have like general questions as well, doesn't have to be about foam work, you can ask them. Alright, I think like one more should be good. God, yeah, there's like so much fucking hair in this. Well, that's interesting. This is like sewn on top or under other wefts. It's like stuck. Get something else out of here instead. Oh, yeah, I think there's definitely more wefts in here. Each strand of wefts I do not think is thicker, but there's definitely more wefts, just in general, I think. Now, the long ponytail is more expensive, so I don't think you're necessarily going to save money, but there just definitely appears to be more hair in this thing. Alright, last one. Not in this. All right. Yeah, so the quantity of hair in the weft itself usually doesn't vary. So like if you look at the weft, what makes it look like there's more hair in one place or the other is if you harvest the hair out of a wig, and this is why I generally don't like to do this. I did this when I was talking to myself for an hour, but this is a weft that's come out of a wig. And at first glance it looks the same, but if you look closely to the part that's sewn,
Like a white piece of paper or something to put behind?
it's like behind here,
Oh.
so you can see it now. You see how down here is a lot thicker than up here? That's because, because these are in the netting, you really need to hide the netting and to hide the weft track, which I keep forgetting the word for that for some reason. And so for most of the wig, this portion has a lot more fiber, and this fiber is also a little crimpy, but this is about double the fiber as what's in the rest of the weft. And that's because it's probably coming somewhere around like this. Now, if there is a portion of the wig that needs to be thicker or denser than others, you might find that the wefts in that part of the wig are not like this. Usually, if you'll see wefts at the very bottom row of hair, like the bottom 2 rows of hair, and also like right up if there's something near a skin cap or near the part of the hair, those need to be a lot denser than the rest of the wig. And so those are not going to be this style where it's just like a little bit of hair and then a lot of hair right on this bottom inch. The whole thing is actually going to be the same length, and so the whole weft is going to be extra thick and appear to be double the thickness of this. It's not because there's more hair sewn into the weft track, it's because it's not layered like this. And so if you need to harvest something out of a wig, I normally go for those very bottom 2 at the nape of the neck and then the crown, because those are going to be the thickest hair. That style of everything is the same length is what you get out of a pack of wefts. You don't get this kind of layeredness going on here. And then also at the nape of the neck, they'll actually stack 2 wefts on top of each other to make like a double thick weft, so it's like even thicker. But yeah, it just depends on the style of wig you got and how they lay it in there. Alright, so this is all of the wefts that I harvested. I have a lot more, but I don't think I need more than this. This is probably, this is more than enough to lay on top. If I had to guesstimate, I'm only going to need this. Might be fine with this, but I would rather just cut more, because once you get started in this process, it gets really messy and sticky. So I don't want to have to finick. So I don't want to have to go back and forth between the 2 of them. But I am going to set this aside. The other thing I'm going to get to help me just a second. I'm going to get into my box of tools. First of all, thick comb can't hurt.
Wait, no, we can't still have the red teasing brush packed because you had it for your other street.
No, I had my other one.
Oh.
I couldn't find it, so I pulled that one out.
Oh.
Which is not my favorite. Whoa, where are my butterflies? Okay, there they are. Okay. So, a little trick I like to do is I actually like to use these to hold on to the end of my weft. So when I go to put the glue through them, because, you know, we need to squish it through, because the entire idea is we want to coat all of the hair in our semi-permanent glue, and you essentially need to hold the part of the sewn hair and then squish it through with your other hand. And that's okay, except what can sometimes happen is as you pull it through, it might pull unevenly. So like if I'm pulling the bottom more, it's just gonna make the hair kind of not tangle, but like not be as nice and even. And it's better if when we pull, we're pulling on all of it pretty evenly. And see, if I'm just holding it like right here, oh no, it's this, see how this is kind of pulling like that? Oh, shoot. Can you get me the battery out of there? Thank you.
What battery?
For the laptop.
Out of here.
Yeah.
Dock?
Actually, you know what? Yeah. Yeah. See how there's like a... I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't want to force them. Oh, I need the charger. The charger. Okay, sorry. I thought it was like a battery that popped out.
No, the battery's gonna die, and this thing has a tendency to only tell me when I have like 60 seconds left. So if I'm only holding it like this, it'll pull it unevenly. A stupid little trick I like to do is I'll actually take this clip and clip it on, and that way I can just hold this and it holds it all evenly. It's just like, I think it helps. I like to do it. Oh, did I take my Advil? No, I didn't.
Silkburn wants to know if they can sponsor Craftcella.
I mean, we're not taking any money for anything. What do they want to do?
They were just like, this is a fantastic idea. Can we be a part of it? Like as a sponsor or anything else?
Ooh. I mean, I'm always pro working with Silk Bear, and I just don't know what they'd sponsor. But yeah, I'll ask. I mean, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Although I guess, yeah, no, he's like home all the time. Sorry guys, I'm gonna take some Advil real fast. All right. So we're gonna actually start the interesting part, which is gonna be laying the hair. To begin, I highly recommend putting wax paper on your workspace, because this is messy as hell. This is a very messy process. You're going to get your hands messy. You're going to get your workspace messy. It's glue. Like you're literally like playing with glue with your hands. So just be aware that this is not a clean process at all. So, put this down. Actually, I'm going to tell my friend I'm making his wig. This is his wig. Do. I am making your wig. So, put that down, and then we are going to mix our glue. Now, depending on what you're using, you do not need to mix the glue. People who use Patex, it's very gel-like. You definitely don't need to water it down. Fabritech also, I think she likes to use it because you don't water it down. But I like tacky glue for some reason. And the thing about tacky glue is it's a little too thick. Get this out of here. Oh, God, this is such a pain. Come out. Jesus Christ. All right, let me get another one. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. So, tacky glue is a little too thick for this process. So ironically, way back when I first started doing wigs with iron wig. Hang on, sorry. Okay, cool. Back when I first started doing wigs, I did not do this method. I instead did a stupid method with the hot glue. You know, the thing that I mentioned in the book that I was like, if you want, you can use hot glue, but I really don't recommend it to learn off of. Hello new people. I'm making a Dib wig for Dib.
His name isn't Dib.
His name, TJ's name is Dib. That's his real birth name.
TJ stands for
TJ stands for Dibja. I tried doing this, and I was like, wow, this sure does not go through the fiber whatsoever and sucks. I'm never going to use tacky glue ever again. And it's because I just tried to put it through when it was really, really thick like this. This is also still a bad angle. Like, yeah. See how, like, if I was to take my stick, see how this is really, really thick? Imagine trying to push that through wig fiber. That's just, no, that's not going to happen. So I said, that sucks. I'm just going to use tacky spray and hot glue like a cool person. And it was really good to learn off of because the stuff dries really fast. It's like, you know, it's not forgiving at all, and it has like those little white flecks. So if you screw it up, you're screwed. But it was a good thing to learn off of. The reason this is so good is because, first of all, it actually dries clear, unless you mess it up and you have little flecks in it. Second of all, it is actually forgiving. If I put something on and I mess it up and it gets kind of out of whack, just take it off. It's fine. Or I can actually comb it through and adjust it. This has about 90-second drying time or so, which is great because you have lots of time to comb it through. Patex is really similar, but it only has like a 20 20-second, 30-second drying time. So if you're laying, even just laying like a long weft, you can't get to the end of it. You can't lay it and then go back and comb it. It's too late. It is starting to dry. Whereas with this, we can lay it, comb it through, make sure it looks perfect before it begins to dry. It is a really long working time. That's why I like this stuff. You just have to water it down because otherwise it's too thick to push through the wefts. Do I have a preferred width of weft for gluing? Yes, I will show you. It is way shorter than this. I'm going to cut this into lots of little pieces because if you can, the less you can stomach working with at a time, the easier and cleaner your work is going to be. If you, even with me, I'll be rushing. Like when I was taking the photos for the book, I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll rush. I'll just take a big old thing of wefts. No, it sucks. Like if you're working with too much at once, you can't get the glue all the way through. You can't glue it down properly. Like try and work in small pieces. But what we have to do first is mix up our glue. So this is way too thick. I'd say the ratio, if I had to guesstimate, is something like 3 parts glue to 1 part water. Essentially we're looking for thick pancake batter. We want something that holds its shape, because if it's too runny, there's no glue in it. Like it's just going to go right through the wig, and it's going to defeat the purpose of putting glue in a wig. So we don't want it too runny, but we also don't want it so thick that it's hard to push through. And I think that pancake batter mix is like the happy medium. The only type of wig I would use hot glue on is Halloween wigs. So hot glue does have a purpose. Its purpose is nowhere where you can see it though. So a lot of times, and actually with this method, the way I learned and did for a very, very long time, is I used to actually, when I would start to put the hair on, I would take my weft, and to answer your earlier question, usually what I do is I take a piece, maybe a little bit smaller than this, a little bit smaller than this, fold it over 3 times, and then I get something about maybe a little less than 1 inch thick, but it's folded over a couple times, so I have a decent amount of hair here. This is probably a teeny bit much. But something about that thick is a good amount to start with. And I like to fold it over because I want more hair, because these wefts aren't thick at all. If I was just to take 1 inch of this, that's like nothing. That's no hair. I want to work with a little more at once. But I don't want a big long width of hair, which is why I fold it over. What I used to do is I would take this, put hot glue on the sewn edge, and then actually glue it to the underside of this where you can't see it, because this will eventually go onto my head like this, and so you'll never see down here. And the advantage of that is the hot glue dries fast, it's permanent, and so I can tug on this all I want when I'm working with this and wrapping it around. That's especially good like if I was to be wrapping this like this, because I'm pulling on it so much, it's really helpful because I can pull on it and it won't come off. So I used to do that a lot actually. The downside is it's going to make this bottom part really, really bulky. This is a very small surface area. It's going to get real bulky really fast, but like for a bun or like a big bouffant where you've got lots and lots of space, it's really helpful. But now what I'll actually do is just use the glue because it does make the bottom less bulky. But it's really up to you. If I've got a big bun, I'm going to use hot glue. That's kind of what I'll do that. So I actually do need my blow dryer. There it is. Okay. Anyway, we're mixing this up. I'm going to add my 1/4-ish of water, and I usually, so it's more like a 1/5, honestly. I'll start with just a little bit. That's about a 1/5 of water. Actually, that's probably enough. So maybe I lied. Maybe it's 1/5 instead of a 1/4. And then mix it up really well. Anyone have any questions while I am doing this? Make sure you scrape it all around too. Also, this evaporates faster than you'd think. So when you, oh hey Cass. So when you are working, because this method does take a long time, check it. Make sure it's not getting too thick. If it is, just add water. I usually have to do that many, many times during the process. So let's test this out and see how it is. So thick pancake batter. Almost. I could use this. I'm going to add a tiny bit more water. So I guess a fourth was in fact correct. We want it a little bit runny, but it should still mostly hold its shape. That's better. Oh, I forgot a paintbrush. Of course I need a paintbrush. Let's see. Oh yeah, they're over there now. Second.
Like bad paintbrushes somewhere.
No, but if you just wash that one out when you're done with it.
I think Teresa pitched most of the like absolute garbage ones. Yeah.
So there's no point in keeping them.
I mean, I use garbage ones for garbage.
But the problem is when they're super garbage and they're stiff, you can't use them to brush anything. You might as well use mouth to stick at that point.
Sorry, I gotta turn this off real fast.
All right. Because I am not putting hot glue onto the bottom, I do need to dry it really fast. So that's why I'm going to be using the blow dryer with it. Yeah, so what I was doing earlier is making this. This is essentially just styrofoam, and then I have fleece put around it, which because the fleece or felt is usually what I use, is more absorbent. It's going to be a lot easier for the glued hair to stick to it. You could put it on styrofoam, but I personally think that's a lot more difficult to do. If you're doing a flat shape, it's probably fine though. Madib. All right, so it's a good consistency. I'm gonna get a piece of hair. Actually, this thing that I cut actually has 3 wefts on it. I don't know if you can see very well, but it actually has 3, this piece that I cut off of my ponytail. Because art is totally out of black wefts, guys. There are 0 black wefts on Artist's site. Everything's getting restocked in like May and June, I think, though. It's already triple, so I don't need to worry about folding it over like I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna cut it about here. I think that's a good amount to work with. I'm going to try to not cut hair. But it's okay if you do. But you have to comb it through to make sure that any hair that you do cut gets taken. Yeah, see, look at all that junk. You don't want anything that is not attached to the sewn portion. I don't know why I keep forgetting the stitching. Because when we push the glue through, this will just all come right off. Not nice. Get out of here. All right. I'm going to do that little trick I was talking about earlier, where I'm actually going to just clip this on, because if I'm just holding this and I pull, see how some of the wefts are pulling more than others? But if I clip this, it's an easy way for me to hold on to it without pulling unevenly on the hair. Because I am going to be combing this. Whoops. I'm just going to back this up a little bit so you guys can see I'm doing a little bit more. Cool. I think it depends on which way you're looking at. 20 shipping. The thing I like about Arda is they offer a lot of different styles. And they also, I really like their fiber, like a lot. Like the matte fiber is nice. I kind of prefer that in general. But the blends is something that for some reason I don't see anyone else doing. I don't know why. Epic like started to do it and then like promptly stopped. But like the blend of the fiber, it's hard to describe. Let me get my coloring. Now, is this worth 20 bucks to ship it? Meh, I don't know. But where we can just buy it, so like this color. Instead of just being every fiber is a solid tone. I don't know if you can see it, but do you see how this has a range of colors inside? Like some pieces of fiber look lighter than others. It's really hard to see on the camera. Just has a lot more depth to it. And it's because almost everything they do is a blend. I don't think there's really any fiber that's just a single color, and it just looks a lot more realistic in my opinion. But I don't know if that's really enough to be worth it to ship it for 20 bucks. I'd say the other thing that makes it worth it is if you are specifically need a wacko style, like they make the Nigel now, which is bonkers, which is essentially a double wefted wig. It is the thing I was talking about in the book where you make a double thick wig by taking out fiber and adding it in. They did it for you. Or the thing I was talking about where you have to flip the orientation of the wigs in order to make an updo so that instead of pointing down, the hair is pointing up. They have a style like that. And so you might save yourself a significant amount of time if you start with a correctly oriented wig. And so in those cases, honestly, is 20 bucks worth, although if it's 20 euro, that sounds like it's a lot more. Is it worth it to save myself 3 hours? I think it is, personally, but that's just me. So I'd say it depends on the combination that you're looking for. Yeah, Coscraft is really nice. I saw their wigs when I was at MGM, and like I really like the one that's really spiky on top. They have some really good options. But if you find yourself needing to reverse weft an entire wig or double weft an entire spiky wig, that might save you a lot of time. This is already getting thick again. All right, let's do this. Hammy, what's my hammy doing?
Tummy noise.
So the first thing that I do is we're going to paint on where the hair is going, because we don't just want to saturate the hair, we want it to stick onto this darn thing. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the base structure. It doesn't have to be a lot. And I can also go overboard, it doesn't really matter. But this is really going to help it stick. All right, I have to move fast though. So we are now going to comb this through. And paint it on. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I don't want to go too far over the edge because if there's going to be some hair hanging over, and if I make that saturated, it's going to get stiff, and that's actually not what I want. It's not going to become a nice point. All right, shall I pinch this? I'm going to flip it. Shit.
You want me to grab that?
Yes, please. It's fine, I got it. And then paint the other side. This does give me some drying time, but this is a pretty long piece of hair, so you don't want to, you do want to move with like a little bit of urgency. All right. So I'm gonna comb it through one last time. Do I have a finer comb than this? Yeah. So I'm gonna comb this through because I want it all to be really oriented nice. And then I'm also gonna squish it through. And that's gonna make sure that all the hair is not only coated, but that it's flat and doesn't have those weird comb things going on. I'm actually gonna add a little more. I don't think I got enough of it. There we go. Okay, so now pick that up. I'm actually gonna go from the back down because I know here's about where that glue ends. And that's where I'm gonna lay it. I do have to curve the fiber, which is kind of a pain. And this is what I'm talking about with having a lot of time to really lay the hair down exactly how you want it. This is not something that would be easy to do with Patex, because the Patex would be dry by now. This little piece of hair does not want to stay down. So I'm just going to add a little more glue. Alright, and then with a weird shape, this is not a really weird shape, but if you really want to move faster, or you see how this really does not want to stay. I'm going to add a little glue to the bottom. And then I'm going to blow dry it to try and get it to harden in place where I want it. Especially down at this bottom base. So I'm going to hold the hair where I want it to be. I'm going to mute myself real fast. Alright, and that's significantly dried it. It's still a little bit damp. I wouldn't mess around with this a crazy amount, but it's definitely dry enough that I can cut this bottom bit off, which will make it a lot easier for me to work with. I'm actually gonna bend this over a little bit. And then dry it again. I was muted, and I'm leaving this chunk off to about here. But this gives me a lot of wiggle room later on to play with. So yeah, so here is the first strand. This is a very time-intensive process. It is easy. We're just doing this over and over and over again. The hardest part is probably deciding how to lay the hair. Another option would have been to wrap it around like this. I don't like that. I don't think anyone's hair looks like that. I think if this was like a real person's hair, am I still muted? Or was that on a delay? If this was a real person's hair, it would be something coming up like this. And so I want the hair to be laid like that was happening. So we're just going to repeat this process again. And this time I think I am gonna make the hair wet first, I am going to resaturate this. This is a little dried out. God, I'm going to need like a lot more glue. So one thing about this is the shape is weird. You see how we've suddenly got a ton of hair right here and less hair here and here? There's two options to this. One is we just continue laying hair and the hair down here and up here are just going to have to overlap. And there will just be lots of overlap down here and here. Another option, which is what I'm going to do now, is we can take small amounts of hair that start and end right here. And so I'm just going to build up some extra hair in these areas where it's a lot thicker. And it's just going to be little strips right here that will help fill in those gaps. That is not possible to do if you're doing hot glue. Don't do that. This is only possible because I am just using the clear tacky glue. But let's get some small lengths of hair. And I don't want to use this piece. I'm going to use this piece. This is messed up. It's a weird, messed up piece of hair for some reason. So let's add like this much stuff. Let's comb it through. Get off anything that's not on the attached to the stitching. And this time I am going to fold it over. And clip my little butterfly clip on. Oh, there's so many tangles in the bottom of this dumb thing. There we go. All right. So with this, we do not need to go through the whole thing. Yeah, I'm only going to put glue in the very bottom part because we're just adding it right here. About like that.
Oh no.
What?
Why is this lineup only white and East Asian crafters?
It's literally a volunteer basis.
I know.
Tell them we literally took on every single person who asked to join. What platform's that on?
Twitter.
Cool.
But there's no traffic to it yet.
I'll ignore it. Is it a reply or what?
No, it's a retweet with comment.
Well, then I'm gonna ignore it. All right. So, and then I'm going to add a little bit. Yeah, I don't know why people have decided that, like, Asians are not POC. Like, it's ridiculous.
Especially when they're, like, getting attacked in the streets
Yeah.
right now.
Like, I literally accepted every single person who asked. Can't help you. Alright, so now I'm going to do a dangerous thing and cut this. Usually I don't like to cut the ends off before I lay it down, but this is a weird case. Here we go. Cool, so now I've added a little bit of hair here, and I'm going to build it out a little bit right there as well, just because there's a lot, I think, that we need. We're going to have it going like that. And let's blow dry it to make it secure. The blow drying is not necessary, but it does help set it down. And it makes it a little more secure, especially on these little ends. Why did they specify East Asian, by the way? Like,
Asians aren't
like,
they're like, I guess they're white people now or something. I don't know.
Even though they're the most affected by the coronavirus? Okay.
I think it's because, like, hot Asian girls, like, can succeed in cosplay fairly easily.
Because that is way outside my lane.
Alright, cool. This is like so hard to see. This like black on black on black. I'm gonna cut this stuff off the bottom. It is, do not even attempt to mess with hair that's already got tacky glue in it. It is not going to go your way. So just cut that off if you're using the same length of hair. Right, and now we're going to do the same thing but on the top part. Just a little more make our lives easier. Oh yeah, I haven't even like told you what the hell we're talking about. So if anyone wants more stuff to do and more streams to watch, next weekend we are hosting Craftchella, which is essentially a 60-hour Streamapalooza live stream marathon. There's 30 different cosplayers who are involved, and everyone is streaming all kinds of different stuff. So there's going to be some streams that are more panel-based, like very traditional, how you would get a panel at a convention. There's some that are just people who are going to be live crafting and showing you what you're doing. There's going to be round tables where you got 5 different cosplayers all talking about a topic and fielding questions. There's just all kinds of stuff. And it's a full 60 hours of programming, starting April 3rd and then ending April 6th. So no matter where you live, there's going to be something for you to watch. And that is at Twitch TV/Craftchella. And there's also some good, I've tweeted and done the social thing on all of the relevant platforms. So if you guys want to reblog and promo it, I would be very grateful. Shit, I just messed this all up. So, okay, so here's a great example of how you screw it up. Oh god, come here. So you see how these... Sorry, this camera is like... Alright. You see how this hair right here, these are out of whack? It's because I pulled on it. And the way you fix that is you have to comb it. Unfortunately, we are working with tacky glue, and so we have a lot of leeway and a lot of time to fix this. I just have to make sure to hold this part of the weft, hold it firm before I comb through. There. There we go. I think I actually need more glue on this. I'm gonna go a little higher. Okay. So we're gonna do the dangerous game again. Cut this off of the weft. Again, do not suggest doing this unless you are doing like what I'm doing and just adding little gap areas that need to be off of the weft. It is a lot easier to lay this on if it is attached to your weft. Also, if your fingers, if you dip it in your water, it makes it a lot easier to work with. Because then nothing sticks to you. I'm also trying to push this fiber up a little bit because this is the part that's going to need it. Need the coverage. So you guys can kind of see how it's coming along. It's like the worst. I don't know why these cameras like it's just like black. No, you don't want to see that at all. There we go. It's so dark. It's just black on a black hole. I don't know why I'm touching this. I'm not supposed to touch it. All right, cool. Cool. So, what have we got? What have we got? What have we got? This, I think, is actually a little short to use. It's a tiny bit too short. So I am gonna add a little bit more, just a tiny bit, to right here. Because the goal is I eventually want enough added on here that the next piece that I lay can just go all the way around. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more here. So not much, just this little amount. That's what we're doing. We mostly have the timetable. We're just waiting for people to fill in their panel names, and we're doing like some very last small adjustments, but we'll have it posted probably within the next day or two. Okay, so this is a really good example of when blow drying is helpful. Can you guys see how this piece... Oh, it's so hard to see. Okay, so how this piece is not laying flat. You see how it's like popping off right here? I'm gonna blow dry this to force it to lay flat and dry in that position. Same goes for up here. These cameras really, really don't want to pick up. Oh, there we go. Okay. So if you look closely, you can kind of see the lines, but once it gets far away, you really can't. So yeah, so then it's just essentially this for probably another 5 hours, something like that. I've made just this part. I've got to go all the way around the entire thing, which is going to take forever, but, you know, life. It is what it is. So yeah, I don't think you guys want to watch this for 5 hours, but before I turn this off, does anybody have any questions either about foam work or just about wig styling in general? Anything they want to talk about? This looks great. I'm just going to leave this like tassel on the end like that. I'm surprisingly not getting that messy doing this. I think it's because I'm working with the blow dryer. Because usually what happens is like I get the glue all over my hand and then like I keep touching stuff and then my hands are really, really sticky. But in this case the glue's all drying, so it's nice. I also haven't really done that much of this yet. Use flat hair instead of curled. I don't think I would ever use curled with this method because, you know, you want it, your end result is you want it flat. And so the only thing that's gonna happen with the curled hair is you're gonna be fighting with it because the hair is naturally in that curled position. And that's the physical hold. That's the direction the fiber has been hardened in or heated into. And so you're then having the glue fighting with the natural direction of the fiber. Now the glue is fighting with the natural direction of the fiber here. Like we're curving it like this, whereas the fiber wanted to be straight. So the glue is doing a fine job. But you're just adding more difficulty. And also the thing about curled hair is it's actually layered significantly more than straight hair. If you were to straighten a curled wig, you would notice actually that like a lot of the fibers are at random layered lengths, and that's just part of what makes it really full and curly. So no, not unless I had no other fiber available to me, I don't think I would ever choose to start with curly hair. You could make it work though. This is a pretty forgiving method if you're using tacky glue. This is significantly less forgiving if you're just using hot glue. Hot glue, utter requirement, straight hair, all the same length, no layers, period. You cannot do that with anything else with hot glue. I'm just like getting glue off my fingers now. All right, I think that's all the questions. It's a pretty quiet stream today. So the final stream, I don't know what I'm going to work on. I'm probably going to finish this thing up before then. Yeah, I don't know what I'll work on then. I have to think about it. But the final one's going to be at 8 p.m. Saturday. And then for other things going on that weekend is Craftcella. So you guys can tune into that. And yeah, it's going to be a super good time. I am looking forward to it. There's so many people to coordinate. It's really fun. How am I fixing it to a person's head? So I'm going to fix it using a somewhat similar method to the removable headbands. A lot of times I will just glue the structure on. This cannot be glued because it's just this tiny little area and then this big old thing back here. So if I was to glue it, it would probably snap right off. What I'm going to do instead is attach it, probably using that hidden headband method, except instead of a headband, it'll probably just be a big piece of plastic underneath the wig, because it's going to be in the front area, so a headband won't work. You can't wear a headband like that. So it'll be a big piece of plastic that goes probably back and then to the sides to keep it from wiggling all around. But yeah, that'll be underneath the wig, and so this will be attached with a screw through the wig, like a hidden headband. But yeah, you usually want, if something's really unbalanced, you normally want the thing inside of the wig to extend down a little bit so that it doesn't shift from side to side. But, all right, I'm going to turn this off. Final stream is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in 1 week, and then I will see you guys there. All right, bye-bye.